Thank you. Fantastic to be back here. I can't believe it's 5 years since I was talking to CitA at the Smart Collaboration Challenge. I totally agree with Roisin. It's got to be strategic. You know, I've been at this now for 10 years. This is our 10th year. In 3 days, we are 10 years old, a class of your own. And I just fail to see where 5 years has gone, never mind 10 years. And I think when it goes that quickly, you kind of see, where have we come in 10 years? Where have we come in 5 years? And we're still having the same conversations about skills, about our great industry. I'm going to play you something that hopefully will work, number one, but give you this little bit of sense of where we were then and where we are now. Okay, we had sound, but it's just music on the background. So I'll actually talk through this. Alan Hogg got in touch with me a few years ago. You probably all know of the Smart Collaboration Challenge, and said it might be fun to have a student team from secondary school take part. And me being the person, I said, yeah, let's do it. That sounds like great fun. So this is a school, King Egbert School in Sheffield, who had just started. These are year 10 students, which is 14 years old. And they just started our Design Engineer Construct programme. And we said, okay, for our collaboration challenge, we're actually going to go from concept to set out of a community building. Now, they're chatting away behind here, and we don't have any sound, it's not a big deal, we can share this anyway. But basically, these students are one class of Design Engineer Construct, year 10, and they were given this challenge to design a community building using digital tools from, as I say, survey of a piece of land. This was in a site that was the old school building just across the way from where the new school is now. So they had a brief, they had an end user. These guys were acting as grown-ups, I suppose you could say. They're using Revit, and when we were actually presenting on the stage, one of the funniest moments was they did their presentation. 5 of the project managers came across to present, and every round of applause, it was standing ovation, and everybody sat down and said, okay, open the floor for questions. And towards the end, one of the chaps in the audience, I think he was an architect, said, I love the way you're using Revit. How have you found that? You know, so difficult. And Ahmed said, oh, well, it's just a tool. It's like PowerPoint. And the whole audience burst out laughing. And they weren't laughing at him. They were laughing about the irony of a child speaking about Revit as just a tool like PowerPoint. And I thought that was really quite profound, the way that children actually get into digital technologies. You know, we were talking to Mark at the time at Ulster. We were talking about Minecraft and the use of Minecraft for a better opportunity for the built environment. Not just Minecraft to be a vlogger or a blogger or a games designer. And the Revit to children is the, you know, grown-up version of Minecraft. There's no difference to them, except that Minecraft, as it stands as a game, i.e. not the Ulster University version, is a game. And I think we're deceiving ourselves to think that children who play traditional Minecraft are going to be inspired to come to the built environment. They're inspired to earn millions as vloggers. So don't kid yourselves, people in the audience. Minecraft, normal, equals vlogger, games designer, multimillionaire. Minecraft a la Ulster equals fit for purpose for built environment for younger children. So, so we did this 5 years ago. How many schools since? In Ireland, big fat 0. How many schools in England? 100. Launched in Dubai, launched in Scotland, launched in, we're about to launch in Lithuania, we're about to launch in the Middle East. So I'm going to escape that and hopefully click on here. This is when you need a 14-year-old, because my technology skills are absolutely rubbish. But I'll go to there, and where do I go on here now? Slideshow, and from current slide. Okay, so that was 5 years ago. The Adopt a School programme was basically that every school who does design, engineer, construct needs the support of industry. We need to be collaborative. We need industry people like me going in and not pitching up on stage and going, careers in construction, they're really, really cool. No, get my theodolite out, go outside, let's do some Pythagoras theorem, i.e. setting out. Because let's face it, you know, I work. I am not a born speaker. I'm terrified of 300 14-year-olds. It's not where we see ourselves naturally as land surveyors. But if I'm going to go in with a class and say, okay, I'm going to show you how to do some setting out, I'm going to show you the importance of topographical surveys, I'm in my comfort zone, which is the easiest. So it's kind of doing what you do in schools and not putting pressure on to be the careers advisors of the future, because we're not. And unfortunately, the UK government is asking people like me to do that at the moment, to pick up where, I suppose, government left off or didn't achieve. I'm going to be very, very careful how I phrase my words here. But the strategic approach is absolutely necessary, and we inspire young people. The technology inspires young people. If I went in with a drawing board, I don't think they'd, you know, I wouldn't last 2 minutes. So just a little chat through the curriculum itself. It starts at 11 to 14 years old. And the children are basically given a brief of design and eco classroom to teach the local community about being more sustainable. So the whole agenda at the moment around climate change, plastics, Greta the heroine, fantastic, bring it on, because our children are delivering that kind of sustainable thinking through the built environment. The eco classroom is basically around teach the guy on the end of the street who's too busy to take notice of climate change, teach the little old lady who daren't turn her heating up in the winter because she's afraid of the cost of heating. It's about teaching local community people, bringing the community into the school for a real project. And this is real to the children. They really believe they're solving a major problem through building design and through good building design. So they're looking at sustainable materials, they're looking at renewable energies, they're looking at all the people who contribute to that design, engineering and construction of a sustainable buildings. They're working to BREEAM standards. And they're loving it. And why are they loving it? Because they own the project. They work with the client. It's kind of grown up in 11 to 14 year speak. When they get to 14 years old, they can opt to do level 2. Now, Jess, on the left-hand side here, is now 18 years old. So this was her in year 10. She entered a competition. We run a competition every year. And this was a real school in Parabongo, Uganda, who needed a school for 3 to 18-year-olds. The 20-year war, and unfortunately, had obliterated the community over there. They were all orphans. Their mums had been raped and killed. Their fathers had been shot. These were children who needed an education. And it was such a terrible story. I said, well, let's us build the school. Our children design in eco classrooms. We can do this. And Jess, her team in Sheffield won the competition that year. 4 girls won this competition. They went down to Ara. We looked at the structural detail, the passive performance of this building that they designed. We flew the head teacher in from Uganda, and he cried in front of the children and said, this is the school I dream of. Now, Jess has moved on to greater things now. This is her level 3 project in A-level. She's looking at clash detection. She's looking at improving her structural model. This is the house that she designed for her year 3. She's looking at energy efficiency of the building, doing solar analysis, looking at energy analysis, and she's going to be a civil engineer. She's got a conditional offer at the University of Leeds. And here we have Chris Jackson. So Chris has just started at Sheffield University last year, structural and civil engineering. Now, back in that video I showed you, 2014, Chris was part of that original team that entered the Smart Collaboration Challenge. This is his building that he worked with Arapon when he was 16 to 18 years old. And the building, the old part of the building, is the Little Mesters Studios that were Victorian buildings in the centre of Sheffield, the heart of Sheffield. And he put on this modern design on the front, and he couldn't get a model of the original building, so he went out and measured it and drew it in Revit. So everything he's modelled himself, and then put on this fantastic extension. Now the great thing about this, and if you want to go and have a look on the table, Harry, I'm sorry, I've stolen your table. It's Avril's fault. She told me to do it. Thank you, Avril. But there's some examples of his work on that table. But even just this is the industry impact. His roof on the front of this building was actually sloping into the old building. It was sloping down the roof. And it took one person to come around and go, wow, great design, Chris, but actually we'd never do that. You need to take the water away from the building, not into the building. Transformation in 5 minutes through industry intervention. Strategic is the key. We've got loads and loads of different awards that we've just launched. So I've set up our own awarding body now because I'm so sick and tired of awarding bodies, profit mongering, putting stuff out there that isn't necessarily appropriate for school kids. So we set our own and given these entry-level awards from the Parabongo Challenge to Thames Tideway. You can never have so much fun with poo in your life. Trust me, the Thames Tideway tunnel and waste, children love it. But we're not talking about where the waste goes. We're looking at the impact that a clean river can have. What can you design on a clean river that you couldn't design when it was full of, yes, that. We've just done an off-site manufacturing challenge, so structural off-site manufactured timber for a university building. That was a great challenge. That went from 11 to 18. Hotel Underground. James Bond retires, wants to become a hotelier. Here's an underground station in London, turn it into a hotel. What are the building services challenges with that? And ironically, we had a university 6 weeks into this competition. This is 4 years old now. We had a university call up and say, this is too complex for children. What on earth are you trying to do? I said, well, you better get up with them because they've been in it 6 weeks and they're on it and they're doing it. So if you want to help, go in there and learn something. I'll not name the university concerned. In terms of curriculum design, these are the key principles. I absolutely know that DEC delivers on all these things. We are having successful learners. They are confident beyond parallel. The fact that they can stand on the stages of RICS and they can stand on the stage of the Houses of Parliament and so on and speak confidently about their projects. We're bringing confidence through, and it's one of those soft skills or meta skills, as they're now being called, that are sadly lacking in our school children. They're responsible citizens in the way that they care first about their planet. And it's really, really interesting how they come at design. It's with sustainability absolutely at the outset. We don't worry about cost. We know that the cost will return on investment in the future. So BREEAM, they're looking at BREEAM Outstanding. And they actually challenge, why aren't we doing that across the board? Why isn't the construction industry working to our standards? Which is quite interesting. And in terms of effective contributors, have them on your team, you'll soon see what that's all about. Maths has always been a major issue. PISA tests, we are way down. In Ireland, we're way down. In the UK, we're way down. We've got Singapore top of the leagues all the time. And why is that? I believe, because I was the maths student at school who went into banking when I left school because nobody told me about the construction industry. Thank goodness I met a civil engineer when I was 24, or I would still be in boring banking. Sorry to all the bankers out there who are watching this on the stream, but I was absolutely bored rigid. Met a civil engineer, put in front of the theodolite, the rest is history. I jacked in my job that day. But mathematics. Is there any wonder that children don't see the point of mathematics when nobody's telling them what to do with it? If I said Pythagoras' theorem to your average 12-year-old, they'd say, the guy's been dead for 2,000 years. What can he tell me? But Pythagoras is setting out. It's that simple. Get the children outside and set out a building. That's Pythagoras' theorem. It's doing something with it. And some of these, complex theories are so abstract, so theoretical. The children sit there and go up at the screen and say, I am never going to use this. Tell me otherwise. And the sad thing is that many maths teachers who've never had the opportunity to enter the world of work, and particularly construction, they don't know what to tell them either. But look around the room here. We've got circles, we've got squares, we've got area, volume. You could sit in this room for a week and not cover all the maths that you could do in this room alone. We actually had to write a maths programme for teachers because some of the teachers who were teaching DEC were very afraid of the maths that might be involved. I'm not a maths teacher, what does this mean to me? So we wrote a programme to help teachers and basically took out all the maths and said, that's how you teach it, and this is how it applies. And this is Scotland, benchmarking for numeracy and mathematics. By S3, by the time you're 14, you should be covering some of this stuff, as in discuss mathematics in the real world. When do children get the chance to experience the real world? Well, in DEC they do, because you guys come into the classroom and tell them what the real world is all about. And this is a recent report done by Heriot-Watt University. We've also got a report from Salford University, evidencing the fact that if academics and postgraduates and undergraduates get into the classrooms of design, engineer, construct, it's in their interest too. I challenge Heriot-Watt University students, if you can explain what you do, whether it's architectural technology or engineering, if you can explain what you do to a 12-year-old, you really know your subject. So they took the challenge. And my goodness, they've had some impact. The report's on the desk as well, and feel free to have a look through it. But Heriot-Watt University now send their students directly into our classrooms to help our students and indeed our teachers learn. These are some of the pathways. I think this mirrors absolutely Rasheen's slide on where are the skills that are lacking. Because our children are mostly going into civil engineering, probably 50% going to civil engineering, building services, digital engineering, you know, I call it the BIM engineer, the BIM technician, but either way they're taking those jobs. Construction management, architecture, technology, architectural technology. Who'd have thought? I mean, kids haven't heard of architectural technology, but our deck kids have, because they see the absolute benefit of the technologists. Geospatial surveying, I sat on the boards for Trailblazers for level 3 and level 6 geospatial apprenticeships. I am so pleased to see that. And yet I had 3 boys who sent me their CVs in recently at 16 years old for the geospatial apprenticeship at 16 years old. The CVs were absolutely chronic. Nobody's helping our children with CV writing. They're brilliant at what they do in the classroom, they can't articulate that in a CV. So now we're writing a programme to help teachers and children learn how to write a technical CV. You know, I think we're problem solvers. I think that's what I'm trying to say. If there's a problem, we try to solve it. Just some case studies. Ollie Milnes, also at Sheffield, King Egbert School in Sheffield, apprentice CAD technician, civil engineering, Arup, starting his degree hopefully next year, and this is his ambition. No idea at 13 years old what he wanted to do. How many children are like that? How many of us in the room still have no idea what we want to do when we grow up? I don't. I don't intend to grow up. Medicine. How can we put construction with those fantastic careers that children traditionally choose? High achievement, medicine, law, finance. Here's medicine. Eliza said, I can save more lives as a civil engineer. So she's now studying civil engineering. She did DEC for level 1, level 2. Sam Boone, he wanted to be an architect. Now, some children who come into the DEC programme at 11, 12 years old all want to be architects because they've heard of an architect and they've heard of a builder. I'm going to be an architect. Sam was going to be an architect. Now he's actually in he's in university now, building service engineering. He was actually introduced to the Queen by the RICS when she came to celebrate the 150 years very, very recently as Britain's great talent. Nothing to do with singing on stage, although I think he can turn a tune. And this is Lorin Cunningham. Now, Lorin is a bit special for me. She is me when I was at school. Wanted to go into finance, wanted to do something with mathematics. I'm going to let you just digest her achievements so far. So she was at St Ambrose Barlow, great school in Salford. Really recommend any of these schools coming across. We can happily organise a visit. So now you've digested that and her little life. This is the text that she sent me when she was 19 years old in January this year. Apparently social mobility is a problem as well in all our countries. I think this demonstrates social mobility at its best. Even our teachers, the greatest barrier, and maybe need to get this on your slides, Rasheen, is teacher fear. They're afraid of the built environment because it's actually not what they know. It's not just hammers and, forgive me, buckets and spades. It's also digital. And the teachers look at this in design technology. I think over here is design communications and graphics. They look at construction studies and they go, hang on, that's not the construction industry I know. That terrifies me. So go, don't worry, hold a hand. We'll take you through it. Now, this teacher just won the Institution of Civil Engineers IC 200 medal. And he won that for the inspirational way that he's been teaching young engineers coming through. It's the first non-civil engineer in all this time to have an award from the ICE. He's now working for me. He's helping other DEC teachers to have the confidence, newbies, to have the confidence to take the leap and see what the built environment can do for them. Similarly, because we've got such a dire lack of teachers are just not coming through now. I mean, I don't know if you keep an eye on what goes on in England at the moment, and teachers leaving in droves, teacher stress, teacher depression. It's terrible, because I remember my teachers being the most inspirational people ever. Why are we not looking after our teachers? There's something wrong. So we said, okay, industry, you're inspired by teachers, you're inspired going into the classroom, help. We've put a 16 to 20 week programme together. We're actually taking teachers like Fadi in Dubai. Ironically, he did his architecture at UCLan, University of Central Lancashire in Preston. And I was chatting away to him and suddenly went into this fantastic northern accent. I did my degree in Preston. Oh, why did you like that? Really, you did? And he's very articulate and he's in Dubai, but he's a northerner at heart. And it was absolutely wonderful. And I said, would you be interested in helping teachers by undergoing a teacher training programme or a trainer training programme? He's doing that in Dubai now. We've got the one of the lead BIM engineers from Atkins, who's now becoming one of our teachers. He's in Norbury High School at the moment, working with all the girls over there. It's our 10th year. This is what we're going to be doing in the next 10 years. The Deck for the World's Infrastructure releases in Singapore in October. There's a very, very good reason for that I'll come into. But we're looking at road, we're looking at rail, we're looking at Hyperloop. We've looked at Hyperloop, we've done it. It's really, really quite exciting. We're looking at stadium design, hospital design, social infrastructure. So this is a whole new curriculum that comes out from Design Engineer Construct this year. The best programme, built environment specialist trainers, industry-sponsored teachers. Industry's now saying, can we help you by sponsoring a teacher so that all these other teachers can be helped? Fantastic, bring it on, absolutely. You pay their wages, let's get them into helping more teachers understand our industry. We're doing special needs mapping. We're making sure that all our resources are absolutely fit for purpose for any children, because we have amazing children with special needs, dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, who are doing the DEC programme and they are thriving. They are at university. They are getting great jobs. And when you talk to engineers particularly, and you go, oh, I'm dyslexic too. My God, really? Let's look after every child. It's equitable education. The Expo Challenge, in conjunction with Heriot-Watt University, launches in September. We've got DEC in international schools. Reconstructed is a mixed reality app that we're actually bringing the site to the classroom so children can go on and off-site whenever they want to. We've got DEC ambassadors, our ex-students who are now going back into the classroom. I've worn the t-shirt, I can help you, 11-year-old, better than anybody. We've got the STEAM Awards being released for, this is BGE for Scotland, but 11 to 14. And a dedicated learning programme for platform for educators where we can go online, we can Skype, we can interact with you when you can't get into school. And this is my favourite slide, because this is the Future Infrastructure Challenge that we've just done. We took 4 schools and said, design a Hyperloop station from your town to another town. So Edinburgh to London, London to Edinburgh, Sheffield to Edinburgh, Farnham to Edinburgh. These 4 students have been working on this project quietly for a year. In teams of 4, I think we've got a 5 and a 3. But either way, these small teams have been working on this project. We brought them back to London just a few weeks ago. We put them in the offices for one day in WSP, Arup, Roger Stoke Harbour, Turner and Townsend. And we said, okay, you've been modelling Hyperloop stations in your hometowns for the past year. Now we're going to give you a new challenge. As a hackathon, you've got a day to move it into Singapore. There's all the geospatial data, get on with it. They went Singapore to Kuala Lumpur. The team, Drummond Community High School, now goes to Singapore with me to see the site in October. They are the engineers of the future. Never been so exciting. 2 girls, 2 boys. Do I need to make that clear? I don't think so. Let's get over the diversity problem. You can help too. We're bringing it to Ireland. I really, really look forward to that, because where innovation starts, we've got DEC in schools. Thank you for listening.